Good morning, traders. Welcome to our trading room. I'm glad to see so many of you in, and I hope we can have more people in and you can share the video. Now, a lot of people are watching the recording, right? Because, they're either working or so, and I've got a lot of feedback. Thank you for posting the recording because I really want to come, but I can't make the live session. Now, if you come to the live session, you'll have your questions answered because you're not getting everything recorded. When I stop the recording, we still stay here for anything like about half an hour more, 10 to 15 minutes, sometimes half an hour, where I'm answering questions and traders get their questions answered, which you do not get. Sometimes it's very, very informational. Like before the recording started, I was going to answer a question, and then I decided I'll just record it for you guys because it's an amazing question, and it's something we do in our training courses as well. So the question is, I'll read it for those of you. I have to read it again. When do we recognize or how to confirm a trend reversal? And how can you preempt a particular end of a wave? Well, the question is not quite correct, but I mean, it's not the way you look at wave analysis, but I'll explain. So let me give you a quick idea what wave analysis is. And I started by telling them, you have to recognize this. This is what you would call the atom, this, if you're a biologist, you'll say the cell or whatever it is that makes up what the structure you're gonna build. This exists in all charts. It doesn't matter what chart you're looking at. And if you understand what a chart actually is, most of you probably, they're not really, you look at candlestick and you look for wicks and you look for, all of those things are, they're, the color of the candle. Like one guy said, I'll wait for 3 green candle. And I was like, okay, if I take out the color of the candle, well, how would you trade? He was like, well, and I was like, yeah, because the color of the candle has nothing to do with what you're looking at, right? It's useless. It's the color of the candle is just a design. The candlestick is just a design. What if I put a line chart? How would you trade? Right? If you can't trade without without all of this, then you don't understand what you're looking at. You're looking at a chart that is plotted by dots. Time against price, and it's actually dots. What was the price at any given time? Right? That's all. And then we connect them with whatever we would like to connect them with: candlestick, line, whatever kind of you want to use. Design. It's design. How you want to color it is your own choice. It has nothing to do with what you're looking at. You're looking at data. So when we plot those data, what we're actually saying is that once everything is plotted in the chart, can I recognize anything? Is there a pattern to something? And is that pattern repeating itself? It's not just is there a pattern, there will be a pattern. The point is, does that pattern repeats itself? And if it repeats itself, can you recognize it in the future and can you take advantage of it? That's wave analysis, right? So we are saying to you, I'm saying to you because I have actually created this part, the way we look at wave analysis, is that there are a lot of patterns. They do repeat themselves and they do behave the same way 80 to 90% of the time. They're 10% of the time when they don't behave exactly the same way. That is okay, right? It could be a different pattern, but those are not repeatable patterns. And they might be hard to trade. So if it doesn't go the way you forecast this one pattern, don't freak out. That's okay. In anything, you're going to have that 10% where it doesn't behave the same way, right? 10% of us in the world are crazy. That's normal, right? That's a normal thing. 10% of anything is going to behave different from the norm. So what we do is we look for the norm and we trade the norm. We said, is it going to repeat itself? Now, your question is, how do we, let me start with the second question, how to preempt the end of a particular wave. Then you have to consider what is a wave, right? What do you call a wave? A wave could be a straight line, a wave could be a 3-1, a wave could be a 5, a wave could be 7. Now, what defines a wave is a whole class in my trading thing, right? So that I'm not going to go into that, because that's a whole class. You will need to take the course to understand that. And let me show you the details of how we identify what is a single wave, right? So I can't tell you about that here. You'll have to join the course for that. But how to know when a wave is end is not that difficult. Let's say this wave is going up. This single wave, bigger wave, is going up with a number of small ones, right? Corrections and inside it. It will end with a a sharp move. It will reverse with a sharp move. It will make a correction and it will go there, right? This is a trend, actually. See, that's a new trend starting. As soon as you get that correction, that's a new trend starting. Whether it's a 1, 2, 3, and they continue to go there, this was a new trend going in the opposite direction. Now, the question would be, now, at what time frame are you looking at that? If it's a 4-hour trend, is it a 1-hour trend? Is it a daily trend? Is it a 15 minutes trend? That's the problem, right? And this is where the complexity comes in. And this is in the training course, we break up all those complexity, explain it to you, show you how to identify it, show you what to do with it, and show you how to understand it. I cannot do that in 30 minutes here, right? Nowhere I can do that. That's the first one, a point of how you will know reversal and how to look at different time frames. The second one, that's a reversal one. The second, how to preempt the end of, well, it's the same question. How do you know reversal and how to know when it's going to end? Normally, when I'm looking for an end of any structure, not just a pattern, patterns, when you're looking for the end of patterns, you look to make sure you have a complete pattern. Do you have 1, 2, 3? That's the start of a complete pattern. It could be 4, it could be 5, it could be 7, but once you have 3, that's the basis of a complete pattern, right? So you could say, well, okay, this is it. And if you want to know where a 60-minute pattern is going to end, or whether it's going to reverse after it breaks that pattern, is look at a 4-hour pattern and then look at a daily pattern. Like I said, it's very complex, but once you do all the entire course and you do every one step by step, we lead you through it step by step. So you start to understand what to look for, when to look for, where to look for. Right? It's not that easy. When I'm showing you here, it looks pretty easy. That is because we have done all the work and I'm showing you there's a simplistic part of it. Right? It's a little complex and it could take an average trader about 6 months to a year to learn it. And once you learn it, you can't unlearn it. So, but if you're looking for a reversal at anything, it's always reversed with a sharp impulse down, a sharp impulse up. Would I consider this the reversal of this move? No. Would that be a deep correction? Absolutely. Because we've got a small one here, a small one here, it could probably do a couple of this, but if it keeps doing that, I still think we're going to make a reversal. We're going to make another drop, continue this trend. If I see at any point it makes a really big up move, it does something like this and then start to do this, well, yes, that could be a reversal. Because you're looking at this, you're looking at that, that's a reversal point. But it's on this time frame. So what time frame reversal? Because on this time frame, that's a reversal. But what when it gets here, can it drop? That's a continuation of the day trend to the downside. It's a reversal of the 4-hour trend, but it's a continuation of the day trend. So you see the problem there with your question immediately, right? Is that which time frame you're looking for that reversal on? Is the 1 hour, the 4 hour, the daily? Because a 1 hour reversal is still a daily trend to the downside, right? It's a reversal in the 1 hour. But it's only a deeper correction, a much bigger correction before you get the daily continuation. So you should take the course and you will definitely get all of that. So regarding first pullback, how much depth? That question is irrelevant. You will never know how much depth. And no one can tell you that. If anyone telling you that, he's guessing, or he probably never did the work. If he tells you that, he is literally not trading, right? Right, so you don't know. The first pullback could be, let's put it like this. This first pullback can be this much, it can be this much, it can be this much. Can any one of you tell me how much this first pullback is going to be? Well, anybody who tell you they know how much it's going to pull back, they never traded, or they're not really trading. They're selling you some BS, right? Because we have been trading, and I can tell you, you don't know it. Very simple. You don't, and you can't know it. And it's irrelevant in terms of trading to know how far it's going to pull back. In terms of wave analysis, it's irrelevant. You let it happen. And then you wait for it to make the correction before you get the next impulse. So the bigger that is, the deeper the correction becomes, the bigger your next impulse. Good for you. The smaller it is, like this one, the smaller the impulse become. Like this one, the smaller that impulse will be. It will probably correct here, go back there. It will probably correct it, go back there. And then I would look for this one. I'm looking for this one down there. See? I hope that makes sense. We're using up a lot of time. So let me see the next one. Do you have trades which you recommend buy and keep or sell and keep? Yes, I'm telling you you can do that on all the cryptos. We're telling you to do that on the cryptos. But for this class and for this purpose here now, we're not going to do that on the Forex and the thing, unless we're at a very extreme level. I think that was a question somebody asked on YouTube as well. Can you keep trade for weeks and months? You can, but that's investment. That's not trading. I think the majority of the people in this room now are day traders. You want to take your trade today. You want to make some money today. If you're in investment trading, that's a different thing. That's a whole different ballgame, right? Yes, like silver. Yeah, we could have buy and keep. Let's say silver now, you wouldn't buy there. Like if you're going to buy and keep now, I will do the cryptos. because they're all at the bottom. They're very much at the low. And if you watch me, I'm saying, keep track of them. We're trying to buy and hold, but you don't have to buy and hold stupidly. If you buy and it's not going, get out, buy lower, wait. When it do move away from your zone, then you put hold. And even if you're holding long-term, put a sell point. Put a sell point, because if it drops beyond that sell point, you take that profit and you buy back the same thing much lower. So let me explain that on the crypto very quick, and then we'll start the session, right? No, all the other questions I'll answer after the sessions. So here is a good example, because we did this. I posted this once, and one crazy person thought I was trying to, I've been paid to promote this, which is nonsense. I do not accept payment to promote anybody's anything, crypto or anything, right? So if I'm going to be promoting anything at any point of time, you will know about it. I will make sure I say this is a promotion, right? So that's not going to happen. So we were looking at this, and we're looking at a bigger pattern. I'm looking at the weekly, and I'm thinking, hey, this thing could go up pretty much, right? Because it's at a low. Now, this is not all the chart. I understand there are more charts here. Let's see if we can find a bigger one. One of my traders actually came up and said, hey, there's a bigger chart than that. And let me see if we can find it. Not this one. It was on one of these. If you guys can tell me quick which one has it. Let me see. Coinbase doesn't have it. I don't know which one of them has it. One of them has a bigger chart in it. Let's see if TradingView has it. Yeah, pretty much like this, right? So I think this is the bigger one. Yeah, this is the bigger one, right? So we are looking only at this piece, right? We're looking only at this last piece at the bottom here. I don't know if this chart is actually real. You would have to tell me that, because I really don't follow all of these things, right? So what I'm looking at is we're looking at this one here, this small piece. This is the piece we have, right? 1, 2, see that pattern? 3. So I'm thinking at some point, if that's the case, we have to go back up. But then one of my traders found this chart and said, well, what if this was the running flat here? The bigger running flat, that's the big move. This is then we will have to break this low before we go back up. So I was like, okay, great. Well, that doesn't mean we can't trade this, because this could also go back up here. This one could go back up here, make a deeper pullback, right? Make a deeper pullback and still come back here, right? So if you want to see whether that is going to go, let's see. Well, let's put the low here now at this point, right? So I'm going to pick the lowest point, which is this, right? So can it go to that level and then come back up? Probably there. Can it go to that? Of course, it can go to that level and then come back up. If this chart is correct, if this is the real chart, which I don't know, again, I'm telling you, I don't really follow these things very much. So if this is the real chart, this is amazing. I mean, it is really amazing, because look at the time of the correction. So when this thing gets here, at some point, if it is still going to be a thing, if it's still going to be a thing, it will start to do this back up to the top, right? It will start to make that move back to the top, to this level. You would say, well, what if it totally collapses? Well, if it collapses, you will not be in it. If you follow wave analysis, you will not be in it. So I'm going to look at the pieces that we were trading. Go back to the 1 hour. And what we were saying is every time you make a low, every time you make a low, put it on the 4 hour probably. Every time you make a low and you get into a trade, you can get out of the trade if it doesn't go. So where was the first buy? We were looking at this low. When you break this, we were in this piece, which part? Let me go back. Fine, yeah, this is the one we're looking at with this flat in the middle here. And once you break that low, if you get a buy setup, take it. And then you manage the trade, right? So I remember once we broke that low, we bought somewhere. We didn't buy this one because we saw that as a correction to drop here. I think the first buy we actually made was in here. There was a 1 hour flag in there. This went up, it pulled back, we closed the trade. It started to do this. And we said, okay, this should drop. It actually went up a little. I don't think this exists. That doesn't exist. This was actually what it did. And then it dropped some more. So when it broke this low, we bought here again on the 1 hour. Let me see if I can bring up my charts now so you can see it on the 1 hour, right? So you'll see the trades we were looking at. So these were the trades. Remember I said that week doesn't exist, right? So the first buy we took was here, and we closed that trade. The second buy we took was up in this one. I think somewhere in here, there was a flag somewhere. We took that, it went up there. Under this low, it went up, it came back down, took us out, we leave it. We got this. This is not a buy setup. It actually broke this low here. And there was another buy setup here, a very small one, which we closed. It dropped and we said, okay, let it drop. Now we're putting a buy here. See, again, the same process you go through, right? You put a buy here. And when this eventually break out like this, if it's going to come back, you're going to close the trade. You're still trying to get the long-term trade, right? You want that long-term trade. So if this just make flag and go, keep the trade. Put your stop, put your entry to sell there. and leave it alone. If this makes a flag and go up, you want to buy more, that's up to you. If this makes another flag up, you want to buy more, but you will keep moving that entry to sell at every point. After every correction, you'll move that entry to sell. So let's say you put the entry to sell under this one here. It goes up, you put your entry to sell, and it drops like this. You would have already booked this profit and you would look to buy back here if there's a buy setup, if there's something. What if this thing is going to crash totally? After making a pullback, let's go like this again. After you got this trade, this thing is going to crash totally and never come back. You wouldn't be in the trade. Wave analysis got you in, got you some profit, and got you out. And you're not going to be saying, well, I'm just holding it because it's cheap. It's just 0.13 I bought, or I bought 0.1 for what the hell. Let it go out. No, it can crash totally. And if it crashes totally, you will lose whatever money you invest. Whereas in this case, you're exiting it, you're waiting for another low, you're waiting for another impulse, you're waiting for another correction, and then you take the trade again because there is going to be an impulse. Remember what I draw to? I want you to follow the drawing. This is what I draw for you when I started this morning. What is the element, right? What is a cell if you're a biologist, or what is the atom if you're a chemist, right? One, and I actually did this. Go back and watch that drawing, and I did this. See? After that, it can come back here. So when I tell you this is the classical one, it is classical. In that when you get this impulse here, you will get a chance to put it back at break even, which is put an entry order to sell exactly where you buy, maybe with a +2 couple pips, so that you get back the money you pay. You will have to pay some money to make the trade. You get back that money, and if it drops, at least you're okay. See? I hope that helps you. And I hope this actually helped the first question that I answered as well. So this could be a long-term one. I would say go with these as long-term. These are instruments. These are not things you should keep with you. I'm in no way saying that these are good things to keep with you. I've always said they're useless. But can you trade them and make money? Absolutely. They will eventually crash. That's just my opinion. Don't go start killing me in that. If you're supporting one of these for whatever reason, don't go kill me in that. They will all eventually crash, or most of them. I think 99% of them will eventually crash and become nothing. But can you take advantage of them if you understand wave analysis? That's the question. The answer is yes, you can. So why not? You just have to make sure you're not the last person to get out. Remember, I was telling everybody that in Bitcoin when it was at the 6th level, don't make sure you're not the last person to get out. Right? Just do that, right? Leave the explanation video when you upload it. Please don't cut it. I can't promise you that the videos will be too long and then you have a chance to come and join live. Why not join live? We have a lot of people we're telling to come and join live. It's free for a week, right? If you're just not making an effort to join, then you can't expect me to make an effort to give you everything. I'm already giving you a week free, which is amazing, right? And I've always challenged people, show me another trading room that does this. And with that kind of explanation, detailed, knowledge-based explanation, right? Not BS, right? Not kangaroo tail or, I don't know, butterfly or thing. It's detailed analytical work we are doing here. I don't treat my traders as if they're stupid. I treat them as intelligent people. And I said, let's discuss things in a very knowledgeable based way. You have to come explain to me what you're looking at. What is a chart? What this chart is based on? What are we looking for? Right? How can we back test it? If my traders come up with anything new, I'm always going to say that to them. Let's test it. Let's back test it. Let's explain the details of it to me. Explain why you think it's going to behave that way, right? Right? So that's the point. Because what we do, and that is why in my room, I allow my traders to go in there and take the room over and do it, because it's based on knowledge. I'm not scared of any of my traders. Hey, whoa, I should be the only one telling you nonsense. And I'm open to all brilliant ideas. You can come and discuss them with me. I'm open to that. As long as it's based on knowledge and we can go and back test it and we can trade, that's basically what trading is about. I don't know, people just get some real fancy ideas when they come. You can learn one. I saw one guy actually post, you can learn this strategy and make $2,000 or $200 every day. I'm like, dude, where did you get that from? Like, where did that nonsense come from? And who's buying into that nonsense? It has to be, if that thing is so crazy, anybody who buys it is really, really have to be crazy, right? Same thing like signals. I can't give you signals because you're not going to follow the signals. You're in the room here and I'm showing you really great trades. We're going to go through all the trades. And I will ask you how many of you take those trades. And you would see that a lot of you did not take those trades that went perfect, would have given you good money. And if you're in here and you are not taking those trades, why do you think you're going to take some signals where you understand nothing of what the signal is going to do, and you're going to make money? The signal traders came down, they created videos against me, they created websites against me. They were so pissed off because they were losing their business. Well, now they really can't. I don't care. Basically, I've always said to them, I don't care. You don't have to believe me that I don't care. Look at what I do, you will know I don't care. Look at the way I behave. Even though when I was a top trader anyway, I speak my mind. You want to do whatever you can do. You can go create videos against me. I don't care. I'm doing what I do, right? You should treat people that way. Follow the people who don't care about, about what people say and think about them, but they're showing you knowledge. Always, always ask questions about it, knowledge-based questions, and then you're going to find that most of the BS you're hearing out there is useless. I watched thousands of those videos when I was learning to trade. Oh, the amount of BS I saw, I was like, oh my God. How do people, one guy was selling the MACD. He just took off the MACD the way it was and he colored it with some fancy thing and put some arrows and some dots and he was selling it to people. I was like, dude, that's the MACD, it's free. You can just put it on your chart. What they did, they kicked me out of the webinar immediately. And I was only like 1 or 2 months into Forex learning that time. And the guy just kicked me out of his webinar because I was saying, hey, that's the MACD. You just colored it differently, right? He's showing divergence and the MACD. When you get divergence, look, you're turning, you can sell here. I'm like, yeah, that's the MACD. It shows you divergence. It's that simple. You can call it whatever you want, but it's what you have there. You just colored it a little different, put some arrows and dots on it, and bingo. People say, wow, look at that divergence turning, right? That's the level of ignorance that exists in the market. And people wonder why 90% of traders fail. Let's go. Let's start now. So we're going to go back. Sorry for that detailed, long explanation. I sometimes get carried away because I'm very passionate about this. Let's start. Dollar index, we're still going down. And remember I said at some point, concerning the first question, at some point, all of these little flags would become a bigger one before we drop. Now this, right now, these confirm the 60 minutes turn back of this one. You reverse that 60 minutes impulse. But have you reversed the entire thing? The 4-hour one, have you reversed the daily? No. We're going to have some 4-hour consolidation. We're going to drop. We might get another 4-hour one drop. And then you're actually going to have a daily one before you drop. That's what wave analysis is all about, right? So you're going to have all of these, right? You remember what I said. It has to go and break this top. Go back and watch my webinars. Don't take what I'm telling you now. Go back, watch the webinars. When we were at the bottom here, what I told you. When we were at the top here, what I said. Once we get that daily confirmation, we're coming to the bottom here. Once we reverse and we get this, we're coming to break this top. And when you break the top, you can reverse, but we don't know this is a reversal as yet. Answering the same question the guy asked. I don't know this is a reversal. All I have is one move. One move is not anything. When it makes that correction here and confirm that there's another one, like this, and it makes another one, okay, we're confirming the reversal. Because by then, this is not just a 1, 2, 3 to go back up. This is actually a 4 and a 5. That means you're trending. That means you've started the trend. See? And that is how you know. Sometimes you don't have to know if it's reversing. You just have to understand what pattern you could create and trade the patterns you see. Right? That's the amazing thing. That, like I said, it's complex. It's not impossible. I can pass this knowledge over to anyone. I have traders making money like crazy in the room. Knowledge they gain from here. There are people who hate me that gain knowledge from here and are making money. They might deny they got it here, but before they met me, they were losing traders. Now they're successful traders. They might not like me personally, but that's where they learn to trade. Some of them are even selling that thing out there. I hope they're selling it in good faith and good conscience. They're teaching you the right thing and not messing it up on the way. Because one guy from France actually wrote me and said, hey, I took a course from your student. Can you help me with this? I said, why is he not helping you with that? If he's selling you the course. Well, he doesn't know the answer to it. Well, I said, okay, let me see if I can help you. Send me the question. But that's the point, right? He just want to make fast, instead of training people properly, just make some fast cash. You can't stop that. People exist like that. So watch this here. Try to get knowledge. Understand that if this does this, it can still come here and go back. There's a reason. If this stays here, it's downside. If it goes back to the top here, it's likely a flat for one more up. So you wouldn't know when it's actually turning. No one can know where the top or the bottom is of any trend. But every time it turns and you get a setup and you expect the turn to happen, you can start going in that direction. And that is why we started the sells. You can see how much sells we already have in it, right? right? I leave this here so that you can see. Actually, there would have been much more. Some we even took off, but you can see the sell setups, how we're taking them, how we're taking them, how we're taking them. And guess what? This would have been a sell yesterday if you wanted. That would be the break even. We actually took that in some other trades. This here is not a sell as yet, because this is really sharp. And if this continues to do that and make a flag here, we'll actually be buying up, right? So let's go now. Silver. Good. So remember, we changed silver from a sell yesterday. We were in this sell here, and somebody asked me a question: at what point do you take off the sell? It's no longer a sell. And I said, when it comes to the top here, we're not buying it, but when it comes to the top here, then we take off this, because now you're looking for a flat for upside. So we had a session this morning, by the way, an early session. You guys should follow me and trade and Facebook. You will get the notification. I also put it on Twitter. Go follow me on Twitter. I'll put the notice on Twitter and Facebook, and you'll get it. Set it up for that. So it was a really good session, and we had some really good discussion this morning that was not recorded. And actually, that session will not be in YouTube. That session was recorded only for my group, right? So you missed a lot. If you could have come, it was about 2 hours or 3 hours ago, so you could have made it. Some of you could have made it. Set your notification up and you'll come. You still have a lot of days in the week. So we're looking for this. If this actually breaks out, we won the trade. Can I see support and resistance in my chart? You're trying to be funny, right? Yes. No, there isn't any, but you can go watch my video on that. It's an entertaining thing, right? Watch this here. So we're looking for that move to continue up. But what again? Here's the next one. What if this move? Do I want to sell it if it's coming down? No, if it's not coming down like that, this is a big one. We're still buying. See, as far as I'm concerned, we're still buying. We do have divergence, but divergence could mean a deeper correction. And is this making a bigger correction here before it goes? Possibly. I don't know. I don't know how long it's going to take. I thought the correction is over. And if the correction is over, because we have 3 pieces already to make a flat, we have this 3 piece that looks like a perfect flat, but can we make 5 pieces? Can we go back up and make 7 pieces? Can we go back up and make 9 pieces? Of course, you can make as much as you want. This thing can stay here for years and then go up. I literally saw it stay there for years. We have it in the Punkad, we have it in the New Zealand, we have it on the Aussie New Zealand, sorry, we have it in a lot of them, where this consolidation stayed there for years before it actually go up. And that doesn't matter. You can still trade in the range once the range expands, right? So we're not trading this range because it's too small, but we have an entry order for buy. If this takes off, you want the trade. If this takes off, if this comes down slowly like this here, then we will have something like that. We'll probably come back here. We might even go back there. We might come back here. And then all of this will probably break out. So as long as this consolidation stays here, we're buying. When would we change the buy to sell? Like what happened yesterday? It has to drop sharp. It has to make a flag here, and then we'll consider a sell. We will consider, not necessarily it will be a sell. I would have to look at the structure that is created. I have to decide whether this is a good sell. Is there a risk to reward in the sell? Where would we exit if it doesn't go? So all of those things, we have rules in our room for. And that's what my trader would look at all those rules and then decide good trade or bad trade. So we're putting this into a buy now, right? Let's go to euro. Euro was a buy. You close that trade. By rule, my traders would close. Remember how much we took this, how much time we bought, right? So this was the first one that closed here. This was the second one. That one we closed here. This was the third one. That one got closed right at the top here because you will close it in this level. If you were in the room with me yesterday, you could have closed it here or you could have closed it here. I did mention that to you. Remember, if you were there, go back watch the webinar. And I say you can do this 2 ways, right? You would either have closed this in this here, which you should have done, or in this pullback here. So when you close it, you put an entry order there. The entry order should be over this one, and then you close this here again. So that's break even. So you're getting very, very small profits in these little pieces, but that is okay because it's not giving you the big move you want. This one was profitable. These are smaller trades. That's okay. If you're putting on smaller trades, it's not going to take them off. Now, this one is coming down sharp, and I'm looking at it. We were considering whether we would take this out. We missed this morning, which means when I come in the room, that was gone. If this had made a flag, we would sell it. It didn't make a flag, so there's no sell. Could it be doing this? And can we look at that as a running flat when it comes here to go back up? That's the question. This is how you look at wave analysis. Remember, we had that sharp wave and nothing happened. And I think one of the questions I said to you, sharp wave might not be all the correction. Could it be a small correction? This could be a lower degree correction, but it could also be a running flat with this. So where would I get a trade to the downside? As soon as this makes a flag, we're selling. If it stops short of making a flag, come here and start to go back up and give me a flag, we're buying. because I would go with the running flat and we'll be looking for the buy. See, pretty easy. We actually did that yesterday in the trading room. I'll show you that trade as we get to it. Aussie, right? So Aussie yesterday was quite interesting. Remember what I said, this is a corrective structure. If you were really, really aggressive, you would take this trade. And if it doesn't go, you have to be capable of getting the hell out of it really fast because your stop was right at the top here. You had enough time to close that trade. I think you had ample time to close the trade. Here is the thing. Once this goes up back to the top there, once you get this, it does it come back here. If you didn't close it there, it goes back here and it come down, you definitely close that trade. This sell would be off. The buy, we put the buy. Remember I said you can put both sides. The reason we have blue is you can put both sides of the trade on, the buy and the sell, because we were pretty sure the buy is the one you want, not the sell, right? Now, this one actually came here. You would have to take this out. My traders would know that, and we will put it here. This is where the entry would go. And you would take off this entry and you would put it here. And then you would take off that entry and you would put it where the entry is right now. And that is the entry we're working with right now. It's a buy. Now, if you notice something and you know wave analysis, you can see we're not going up. That's not an impulse, right? These are impulses. These are impulses. This is impulse. This is an impulse. This is not an impulse. So immediately, if I'm going to put that as a buy, I'll put it as a high risk buy. And a high risk buy for us is this one. That means the risk on that trade is really, really high that it's not going to go anywhere. It will still probably come here and tag you, but it could tag you and just stay here and then drop, which means you would have to close that for break even. Because this move is really slow. And if this move, it might not even get to the top, it might drop here. I'm not selling it now because if it drops there, we're looking for this to be a flat and then up. So see how it is? See how complex it becomes, but then you break the complex parts down to simple parts, and then you see where your trade is. So I will still keep this here as a high risk trade, not something that you guys should take. You might not be able to manage your way out of that quick enough. My traders will do it, right? This here could literally drop. And if it drops there, this would be a flag for upside, a flat for upside, right? The sell is not there. We're not selling. There's no sell setup. But if it goes, it's going to break this top and then come back down. So you have to be very careful. It is still a good trade. We leave it there. It's a high risk trade, but we leave it. New Zealand was a high risk trade yesterday. Now, something you should know about our group, if there's a news event coming up and you're not going to be there to trade it, you take off the entry orders. This entry order should be off. And if you were keeping this entry order before the news, it should be here, not where we had it. When we had it yesterday, we were making this consolidation, right? Once you break that consolidation, you move that entry order downwards. So literally, you should have an entry order here if you were trading it. But if you were not going to be there on the news, you have to take off all entry orders. Don't keep it. So this is not a trade. That would only be a trade for us if I was there. And if I was there trading with my traders, we would have got the trade from somewhere, I guess, in here. That's a different strategy. We have a whole new strategy for when we trade in the news events. Right? We do trade all the news events, every single one. I personally am in the room every time we do that because I take that responsibility. And sometimes, 80% of the time, nothing happens, which means there's no reaction to it. 20% of the time, you would probably go. I think losses could be like 1%. There's only about 1% of the time they go both sides up and down, take you out, and that's it. You lost the trade. Most of the time when it goes, like 20% of the time when it goes, we do well. You literally get very good risk to reward because of the strategy we're using. But like I said, it's only about 20% or less of the time. I would give 80% of the time when nothing happens. And we are there for every single one of them that I can be there when I'm awake. 5 a.m. in the morning, I wouldn't be there, right? My traders are trading. But it did go where we wanted it to go. It doesn't mean you should keep that entry. So I'm not going to put this as a trade. You make money. And if you make money, then that's dangerous. If you kept it, then you make money. If you weren't there trading live, if you're there trading live, congratulations, you did amazing. My traders traded, some of them traded. They didn't trade this one. They trade some New Zealand pairs and they made money, which is amazing. That's good for you. It's still going up. So what can we do here now? Well, we can just put an entry above the top. Wait for this to make a consolidation, put an entry above the top. Do we have a flag? Let's see if we have a flag in the making. It's kind of consolidating as a flag. So put the entry order and let's see where it takes us. Right? On a 15 minutes, you're making a nice 15 minutes running flat. I think you can see that. This one is pulling back here. That's a 15-minute running flat. Put the entry above the stop and go for that trade. right? That's it. We'll put that entry. So we'll change it into buy because we have a buy entry order there now. And that was an extreme buy, but now it's a regular buy. So we'll see where that takes us. Why we are trading this, if you're joining me for the first time, if you wasn't here, being here before, this is why we're trading it. Remember what I drew when I was answering the question? I said you will get a move, and I did something like this, and I did something like that. It happens on all time frame on any chart. Any chart you give me on all time frame, you're going to see that. Now, this is a daily one. We don't trade, you don't put the entry above the daily one there. You're actually trying to get the trade from here to go up, which means you can make quite a lot. And the reason you're not going to hold this as a long-term trade, because you don't know that this is the one is going to go. I can tell you that because we traded this one up. We traded this down. We traded that up. We thought that is the one they're going to go. We traded this down. We traded this one up with a lot of break-even trades in there because we thought this was going to go fast, but it didn't go fast. It actually was a mess. And then we figure out, okay, if it's a correction, it's going to drop one more to break this low. And then it broke the low. And if you follow my webinars, I said, it doesn't matter how deep this go, we're going to go back up. So be careful of sells, but all buys you should take, which means we're taking all the buys. If you're in the room, we're buying it already. We bought this one here. We bought this one. We bought this one. We're going to buy this one here. Once you get one that move away far enough from the zone, like 100, 150 pips away, you can put it to break even and try to keep it, living through the smaller corrections. Once it's going to make a big correction, you remove your stop, take off the trade, re-enter from the bottom of the bigger correction. I hope you understand that, right? So right now there's a 15-minute flag. We won the trade. We'll take it. We'll see how it goes. If it tags the start to pull back, you know how we manage trade. We'll try to get out for break even. I think it's going to go. We don't have divergence between those two, so this could probably still go higher. Swiss, told you it's going to drop. If you go back and watch this webinar, make sure you watch this recording more than once. When this was coming down, why we didn't sell it. When it go back, why we put the sell. And we didn't try to buy it on the way up. Because then you would start to understand patterns. And this drop. It pulled back, it dropped. Let's call it a break-even trade. You could have probably take 10 pips. We don't call that profitable. I'll call that a break-even trade. And the reason it was break-even trade, remember I showed you the bigger picture, is that at some point, if you take these trades at the bottom, you have to be careful. The trades from the top were amazing. See the profit you're getting? These are going to be dangerous because you're expecting a deeper pullback. I showed you that. I'm taking too long with these webinars, so there's a lot of details here. You should watch them more than once and get it right. So they're going to be deeper pullback at some places. You're going to have deeper pullback into running flats or all that. So could this be the start of a deeper pullback now? You go back to the 1 hour and let's see if that's a possibility. We don't know that. But when I came in this morning, we'd already made one flag and gone up, right? So the first flag, I'll take it off, right? I don't know, let's leave it because it's still there, right? So people can follow. It made this flat here and it went up, but now it's making another one. Can this drop through the bottom? Absolutely, it could. So here's what you're gonna do. You're gonna put a sell. Let me take this off. I'll take some off, right? You're gonna put a sell here right now. So that's a sell. Can it actually go up from here? Assuming that this would start a bigger correction. Can it go? It can. We don't know if it's going to do either of that. But we know that this little correction here could either do this or it could do this. Those are the two possibilities of that little correction. And it could do this and make a correction and go. It could do this and drop. See? Now that you know that, that's the knowledge. What do you do with that knowledge? You panic or you said, okay, here's the deal. I don't think I want that small trade if it goes here, right? So I'll leave this. And if it goes there, well, I didn't get it. That's all. And I'll wait for the sell. Or you can say to yourself, hey, can I manage a trade like this? What would be my rules of engagement if I take a trade like this and it doesn't go? If I put an entry order there and instead of tagging me and go, they tag me and start to pull back. What would I do? And that's a question you ask. Well, first thing, if you can get break even, if it goes like 20, 30 pips, put it to break even immediately. Because you know it can drop, right? You know this is possible now, based on the structure we're looking at. You're actually going to take the trade because you think it could start a very deep correction and you might get 3-to-1 on the trade. Your stop should be here, right? So if you think you can get 3-to-1 on the trade, then yes, it's worth taking. If you don't think you can get it, then be careful. Now, I think this is going to go, but it could also do this and come back. So what if it does this and come back here? I told you what to do already. Wait for it to pull back, close the trade, look for a sell. What if it drops to the bottom? Well, you accept the loss there, but you should also have a sell setup here. You should have a stop loss here and a sell setup, which means if it drops like this, not only did you exit the trade for this loss, you're actually making that profit. See? Now, the only reason, again, we would take this is because this could be a deeper correction. If there wasn't any chance for a deeper correction, we didn't buy into these, we didn't buy into these, I didn't buy these, we didn't buy into the ones at the top here, because we knew those weren't going to be deeper correction. We were only selling all of these. We didn't buy this one, we were selling it because we knew that those were not making deeper correction. But now that you look at the 4 hour, it has moved this much. See how much it has moved already? It means that there's a good chance you could get a 4 hour correction, something like this, before it actually drops. So this is the trade I'm looking for if I can get it. And that's the only reason we're putting that entry over there. Understanding patterns and how they behave way before it happens, way before all of this happens. You have to understand that. Because if you don't, you can't make forecasts and you can't trade successfully. Hindsight, everybody will see that. Hindsight, everybody can come and see a pattern like this. But can everybody see a trade like this from here to go down and break this low? Or would you be looking for a buy at that point? See the difference? You have to forecast something that is not there. Nothing is here, but I'm telling you there's a high probability of that happening. And if that probability is there and you can make good in it, then you take the trade. So it's a risky trade. Every single trade you put on is a risk. Some are higher risk, some are lower risk. I would call this buy medium risk. I'll put it as a buy. So since we have both sides, what we do, we put it as blue. So my traders look at that and immediately say, oh, well, they're both sides trades here, right? He's looking for a buy, he's looking for, okay, they'll look at the charts and immediately they should know exactly what I see because they understand the whole method of analysis we're using. And they should know how to manage those trades. CAD. We were selling. Remember the sell was here, it went up. We took the sell off this morning in the early session and we put it here now, right? So the sell is exactly at this point because there's a flag there. If you can see there's a flag thing in there, we're keeping under the last impulse of the flag. It's under this impulse here, it's under that impulse. So this is one, that's a correction, this is an impulse. If this drops, I want that trade. So what is the possibility? What are we looking at? I'm looking at this and said, hey, you know what? This thing looks like a running flat. This looks sharp to me, relatively. This looks like a flat in the middle here. This drop, this looks relatively sharp. Those two together could make a running flat. This would come break the low minimum. At this point, I'll have to get my trade into profit. Can it go much lower? Well, then I'll look at a bigger picture to tell me, is there a much bigger drop there? Yeah, it could actually go. But then I look back here and I said, this morning, I explained this to the traders. I said, you want to watch what happened previously also in the pattern that you were trading. And this impulse dropped really nice. It did make a deep correction there. It made another correction here, and then it dropped and reversed with divergence in play here. I can tell you there's divergence at the bottom there right now. Let's go look at it. And if you look at that, see the divergence between these two? It made divergence there in reverse. Can it repeat the same thing here? We're making a flat. Can this flat drops like this, make divergence here, in here, and then go back up deep before it comes? Because it will come. See, now that you know that, that's the knowledge, that's the analysis. What do you do with it? Well, we will still sell it because it's going to drop. When it drops, you have to take profit. You have to realize that if it's going to turn, I want to get the maximum profit out of it, which means you're going to take profit. My traders should know this. You take profit in the 15 minutes, watch it, track it, and then take the profit out. If it keeps dropping, you will get right back into the trade because you know how to do that. So that's the sell setup. What if it goes higher? Again, when will I take out that sell? Well, if it goes higher here, I'm out of that sell. Will we look at the structure? Will we look at the pattern and see, well, maybe it's not a running flat as I think finally. Right now, it looks like a running flat. We'll treat it like a running flat. Yen, we're selling, right? We're always selling yen. Remember I said you're not buying yen in any case. You're only putting sells order because yen is going to drop quite a lot. It's starting slow. That is normal for yen. It starts very messy sometimes. But when this thing starts to drop, it really goes, right? Remember this move up? All of you remember, right? This one actually from here. Is that guy in the room? Come on. You can have some courage and identify yourself with the guy who is planning to stop trading if yen goes where I say it's going to go. He's in the room. Come on. You don't know what I'm going to do if you answer, right? You should say yes. You might have got the course for free, but you took too long, so we'll forget it. I'd probably give you the course for free on the spot if you had said yes, but you're not here, so let's go, right? I hope you didn't stop trading. Yeah, so this is what we're looking for. Now look at this start. You see how messy that little piece was there? And then it pulled back deep and then drop and pull back deep and then drop. We're just starting that. And it's slow. It will probably at some point pull back, but not here. It probably do this, then do this and drop, and maybe even a deeper one and then drop. But you can keep trading that downwards. Would we take buys? Well, if it's perfect, if it's a good buy, if you see the buy setup and you think it could go higher, then yes, this is not going to go higher as yet. This one is still dropping. So you're looking at this and said, okay, great, let's go for the sell. Right? So yesterday there was a sell, you closed that trade for profit. And I'm pretty sure you'd close that trade for profit. My traders will close it right in here. If you're following me, you know why. We'll close that trade there. It goes back up. You're not looking for the buy. You have a sell set up here again. That sell setup goes higher. So let me put it again. Are we doing something here that is making a running flat? Are we going for a running flat here? Looks so. Could be. Let's go under 15 minutes and see what it's doing. This could be a running flat. I would take this one here and this one here to be a running flat. Let's see if they're going to be equal size. They don't have to be, but we normally do this just to have an idea. Sorry, wrong one. Let me put it where it should be. I'm looking for this one. And then I'll just bring it down here. So if this is going to be a running flat, there's probably one more up and then the drop. So I'll take this off because we already took that trade. That's a profitable trade you should have got yesterday. Put the entry here. So we're still looking for the sell. Now, will it get all the way to the top there? I don't know that for a fact. What if this is a flat? This is a flat. They drop, they make another flat, they drop, and then they probably do this and drop. That's okay. I want all the sells I can get in yen. And all the yen pairs too, by the way. So this could go a little more, and if it goes a little more, it's still a sell for me. We're still selling it, so let's go. Euro New Zealand. Good, so we bought this. Again, remember what I said in the New Zealand. Any news that is coming on in any pair you have entry orders on, you have profit, you don't have profit, you're in an entry, whatever, take all the trades off. That's a rule we have, because during the news, things can happen that will be crazy, and eventually it will come into pattern, and we wouldn't know, right? So this actually went up. There, you would have closed this trade, taken off this one. That is a break even. You would have closed the trade even before the news, and you would take your profit in this trade. And it's Tariq in the room. One of our traders. Tariq, you in the room? Is he in the room? Because I have to tell him congratulations. He did an amazing job, better than I did. He recognized an expanding flat where I couldn't see it, right? So he showed us yesterday whether this could be an expanding flat. And I said, maybe, but I don't like it. Personally, I don't like it. I thought this was the flat. And this was looking good enough for the flat, right? This was looking at a correction of its own, which was good enough. And he said, can we look at that as an expanding flat? I said, well, yeah, maybe it looks good. But what you would have to do is wait for this to drop to confirm an expanding. You want this to drop and make a flag here. And then that would be, you can watch yesterday, I think it was yesterday's webinar, watch it because he actually identified that correctly. And I said, well, if it does this, then you will get a sell here. But if I was in the trading room with my traders, when the news was coming, I would put a buy here. I'll tell you what I would do. I would put a buy entry above the top here. I wouldn't put a sell on this, regardless of whether I thought it was going to go down, because the big picture of this is to the upside, right? So we will only look for buy setups on this. I would personally look for buy setups. Now it's making a bigger flat, right? So if this is the running flat, and I think it is the running flat, it looks so now. We got this. You could probably get a correction here. You might get one more drop to break this low. And then this one is going to take off. So if that takes off, that would be amazing, right? Can we sell this? Maybe, depending on whether there will be risk or reward in the trade. If not, you would let it drop, and then we'd look for the buy setup. This buy is the one you want to confirm whether this thing is going to start a really big trend to the upside, right? So you put it in the 4 hour, and you said, well, okay, if we have these slow moves up happening, right? These slow moves up. And if this turned out to be what we think it is, a bigger correction here, and you get a trade from here, is that trade going to take off? That's the trade you want, right? So this might confirm whether we're actually starting the up move, whether this big up move is starting, because this is the first big correction that is happening. And if this is the one that gets it, you really, really want to trade this thing to the upside. To the downside, well, relatively. Remember, they got some other trades if you didn't get this, right? I think the pound New Zealand was a good sell. We'll come to that. EuroCAD. EuroCAD, you got this trade, you close it, you got that trade, you took this trade, you should have closed it to the top because it stayed very long there. You can see the movements are short, the movements are short, the movements are short. Take your profit here or take your profit here, whichever that is, right? And do we have another buy setup? Maybe it's not ready as yet, but this is like sharp. I'll probably wait to see what it does. If it makes a bigger flag here, if you make a bigger flag here, we'll probably sell it. If it goes back up, we'll look for a buy maybe above the top, or if we get a flag before that for the buy, right? So this doesn't have anything right now in it. I'm gonna close this. By the way, Euro New Zealand, I have to take off. We're not doing anything in that. Yen is still there. Euro Swiss, it's coming down. So we didn't really get a good setup for a sell. Let me see, we're expecting this to go back up. Yeah, I'm expecting this to go back up. Remember the Swiss trade that I told you we were expecting it to go back up, and it did go back. You should watch that. I want this to go back up here. And when it goes back up there, make that flat. We'll put an entry order here for the sell. But what if it doesn't go back up? What if there's a contracting flat that I'm overlooking in it, which does happen sometimes? Then the entry order for that trade should be under the last move. This one here for this sell. So if it drops through the bottom, good for you. There's one single drop remaining in this thing before it probably go back up, see? So I am making the assumption that this would be the flat and we would go back up there, right? So you'll have 1, 2, 3. If I'm wrong, this is the flat. Let's say this one. Let's say for whatever reason, this is some kind of a weird, I don't know, weird flat there or a weird flat here, right? And this is 1, 2, 3, or even like this, if you put it like this, and this is 1, 2, 3, not the way I put it. I never look at flat that way, but let's assume that is it, and I'm wrong. Then this one is going to drop straight to the bottom. So do you want a sell that could make one move here and then go back up or drop through the bottom? Absolutely. And then you would hope I'm wrong. If you're in the sell and when it triggers, you're going to pray that I'm wrong and that it actually keeps falling rather than go back up. But although you'll be praying for that, please make sure you manage the trade so that when it goes back up, you get out for profit. We're going to be watching this trade. We're going to see what if it tags you and doesn't go immediately. Well, you know how to get out. It's still a correction. It's not an up move. This is not going to tag you here and and go back up all the way to the top. This rare. This is probably going to stay in this range and then drop and then go. It's really flat. It's really corrective. You hardly see anything else in that. Look at this one here. See how much this is corrective? It's still dropped. So we'll go with this trade. We'll try to get it to the top here. The minute it pulls back, once this pull back here, we're going to put the entry here for this piece, and then we're going to take that piece down to the bottom there. This is a sell setup. We can put it on as a sell now. Euros. Looks like we're making a big running flat here finally. We can make the argument that this is sharp. This is sharp. Those two look like this one, and we're trying to get this one down here before we go back up, right? So originally we thought we completed the correction and this one is going to go up, break that top. But because this is coming down so sharp, it looks like it's just a bigger flat. This would probably come here and then go back up there. We're going to be in this structure. This could be a nice trade. See, it's like this. Like this. Right? So hopefully if we get something like that, that should be a very nice trade. I'm not sure. We'll wait and see, right? It's coming down. Can we sell it to break this low? Let's see if we have a sell setup. I don't see a sell setup. There's no flag or anything. There was a small flag, but that is gone. That is this one. When we came in the morning, it was already here, so we don't have. If this consolidates a little like this, you could trade this one down to break this low. That probably in the New York session. So if you join me in the New York session and we see that, we'll take that trade. Sorry. Oh, I'm going through all of them. I shouldn't do that. Euro pound. So this one, we close at the top, take profit, put an entry above the top, right? So if you put the entry here and you got tagged with that, you close it right in here. So this is the idea. You're not supposed to get tagged, but if you did and you get tagged, right? So this one came up, we closed it here. When this was going up, I said you have to close it in here. That's your profit. You put an entry above the top. If you got tagged, it came back here, you close it here, right? You saw there's a flag here, you closed it there. This is your loss. This here is your profit. So when the trade is right, you get this profit. When the trade is wrong, you take that loss. That's the way you manage trade. So going on the 15, and if you got tagged at the top there, which you shouldn't, because you remember you saw this. And my traders know when we see that, we're thinking 1, 2, 3, come back here, make a flat, and then go. So the entry should be above that top. You're hoping that this one would go. That's the pattern. That should have been the entry, but I don't know. Maybe you guys are new, you don't know it. If you got tagged, what you do is when you see this and you see this, when this one didn't go, but instead come down back and make a flat there, that flat has to go one more down, close the trade, put an entry above the top. So you should still have an entry. Now that entry comes off because it's no longer valid, right? So this buy we would leave because that was a buy. So we'll take off the entry order because there is no trade there now. It's coming back pretty deep. So could it be they're trying to reverse from that point? Doesn't make sense. You don't necessarily have to break this top, right? It doesn't have to break that top. But if it reverses from this point, the question is whether we're still in the correction, whether this is making another flat of its own, right? So we'll just leave it. If we're going to sell it, we want a correction here. Give us a correction here. And then we're going to sell. Until then, we don't have any trade setups, not for the buy, not for the sell. Just leave that alone. Sorry. The next one we had was the pound yen. That should have been an amazing trade that you took profit on from yesterday. So when I was in the trading room yesterday with you guys in the New York session, it made only one up move. And I said, you don't worry with the one up move, right? But if you actually close the trade here, if you actually close that trade here, right? If you close the trade there, you had an entry here. If you didn't, then you'll allow this to drop. And then if you had that entry there, when it's coming back up here, you close this second trade for break even. So you took that profit and your second trade is break even. But if you didn't close it the first time, this is where you close it. See this first move up, you're not worried about it. This consolidation, that's your closing. So this would have been your profit. You gave up this, that's okay. You close the trade there. It's making a deeper correction. What do we look at? What would we look at this now? Remember what I said, this could be just a flat, just a drop. We wanted to drop and break this low, right? This was the target, come break this low. Well, it didn't actually break the low, but can that be a contracting flat that is going up here and then come back down, right? 1, 2, 3. It could be a contracting flat, right? So if it is a contracting flat, what we would do is we would wait for a buy setup somewhere here. Well, we really don't have a buy setup. And even on the 15, this I would not buy this with the way it's going up like this. So what I'll wait for is go to the 1 hour and wait for this to make a 1 hour correction, which means at any point in time, this makes a flag here. I'm looking for that trade up, right? You see this flag here? This is what you're looking for, that trade up. So let's see if we get it. This could be all you have here, right? This could be the flat. It could also drop once more. So if it is going to drop one more, put an entry for a sell here, just under this low. That is only if it is going to drop one more to break this low. It doesn't necessarily have to do that anymore. It could go up from here. We are not going to take the buy as yet. Maybe in the New York session, we'll get a buy. We'll get a buy. Right? Aussie Yen. This was the aggressive sell. Also to break this low. They didn't break the low. And this is, I don't think we're going to have so much contracting flats, but they didn't break the low. Right? It was supposed to drop, break the low, give us a regular flat, then go back up. It didn't break the low. So can we go with contracting flats? I think we would have to take contracting flats. Where would you close this trade? You should close this trade right here. I'll show you where. You go to the 15 and then you manage the trade in the 15. So the first move up is never a problem. This first move up wasn't a problem. This consolidation is where you could close. But if you didn't close there, this consolidation, this flat there, see that flat there? You close the trade there. So you take that profit and you keep it. The first pullback is not a problem. If it makes a consolidation, that's where you close. This is the consolidation. This was a consolidation. So that's when you close the trade here. You should have taken that profit out of it. See? Is it going to drop more? Will we make a new low or just I don't know. It looks to me like they're going to go up. It looks to me right now like this is trying to make some kind of a consolidation here to go up more, break the top. We'll probably take the trade to the upside. We don't have a sell setup on this. If it's a contracting flat, we'll just have to wait, right? We need a deeper correction. We need more correction. We need something like this before we buy into it. I'm not sure what that is, so we'll have to wait on that. And let's go. Aussie CAD. So this had a buy setup here. I don't know why we have this here. Probably a sell we were trying. If you try that sell, you either get a loss or you close it. So if you try this at a tag and it didn't go, you close the trade well. If not, you take a loss there. But the buy wasn't this one. You should have that buy for the upside, right? Because this is the flat we were looking at. whichever. If it is both side and you put both side on, consider this a loss, consider that a profit, close the trade, right? You would close the trade right to the top here and wait for this to come back here, and then we'll buy again. We'll put an entry above the top there, right? So we're getting a flat. See this one here? You see this? This is a copy of this thing. See this piece here? It's a copy of this one. You made a move up, see this flat? And you put an entry here for this straight up. So we'll put an entry here for this to come here and then go right back up. So let's hope we get that upside. It's coming down already, so we can literally put the entry order now. I hope it comes a little deeper, but you can put the entry order above the top there now, right, for the next trade. So this is still a buy. We'll leave it as a buy. This could go up quite a lot. On the big picture, this could go up quite a lot, at least back to this level. We're trading it back to that top, and then we'll see what happens from there, right? Remember that's the plan. That's the reason we have those two lines there. So it's still a buy setup. Let's see. New Zealand yen. This one would be a break even. This is a running flat. We actually put an aggressive. We were waiting for a setup. We got this flag. I think we got that one. Pull back. We took the trade. It pulled back here. It does this. It's coming. You close the trade. That definitely, by all means, by time wise, that's about 10 hours. So you better take break even. This looks like a running flat. We'll go with that as a running flat because we broke the top. So with the rest are probably contracting flats. You can put an entry order for a buy here, because there's a good chance you're going to make a move up like this. So you could still get a flag here and go one more up like that and then come back here. So we're going to take the buy and then we'll watch this pattern. I don't think this is total upside. I think this is just going to make one more up there maybe and then come down here. This is going to be the flat. Now, can it actually come down from that point? It can. It's rare. It probably wouldn't do that. Right, it probably wouldn't do that, but it could do that, right? It come down exactly from that point. We did break the tops. We could drop from that point. We don't have a sell setup, right? See, we broke the top, so we can come down from there. If it is coming down from there, the trade would be probably the New York session. We want this to drop as much as it can drop. We want the flag, and then we'll sell that. That is in the New York session. This pattern will be 1, 2, 3, ended at the top there. See? This could make a flag and go one more. This would only be one impulse. It's one impulse at a time. So you're going to take this as a single impulse of profit, right? When we go there. So if you're taking this trade, just be aware of that. It's a buy setup. I'll put it as a buy. And it's a pretty risky one, which means there's only one impulse. CAD. This would have been a break-even trade. And you literally would have closed it. This morning, we put the sell setup here, but you literally would have closed it here or here, depending on what time frame you're looking at, right? All of them went, all the yen pairs went for the sell. This one, we wanted to break this low, but it didn't break that low, which is not so good. I thought they would break the low, right? So is it making another flag here? Like this did, you see this did make another flag. Are we making another flag here to drop one more? I hope so, because then it would make sense, right? If not, if we make this as a correction and we go back up one more, that changes the whole structure. It becomes a much, much more complex structure. It's still a pattern. It says it may be very, very complex. So go back on the 1 hour, and we're hoping that this is going to drop one more. And for those who were in this morning, see why we put it under the low, because if it is a correction, it will never get to this low point if it is a correction. See, so this made a deep correction. It didn't break that low. It actually go back up. You can put it like this, and you can put the entry order here because we broke the top, right? So you can look at it this way. If this drop, we still want to sell. Right, so if this drop, we're assuming that it's going to drop to break that low and eventually break this low, the bigger low we're looking at. Let's put where the bigger low is. Oh, we have it here. So if that drop, we're assuming that if this drop, it's going to drop to this level. This would be your trade. Your stop would have to be just above this stop here. So it's more like a 1-to-1 trade probably, but that's a good trade. You will never allow it to stop. You're never going to lose here. So I can tell you now, the way we manage trade, you're not going to lose this. You can get this, but you're not going to lose that. If this tags you here and start to pull back, you're going to close the trade somewhere here. But you don't put this stop here, or you keep your stop there. We don't allow them to go to our stop losses. That's really, it has to be really quick and really rare. Most times, by the way, could this be a really funny running flat happening? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, drop again, 1, and then go back up. It could be that. It could be a very complex pattern forming there. We'll see. Put the end shorter, and then we'll see. So this is a sell still. The first sell, you got some profit. The second sell, you're still in it, right? And the final one you're supposed to sell was this one. This didn't actually go, but you can leave the end shorter here. Once this break the top there, you put the end shorter under this one, just a few pips up. That's it. So that is it for the trades we were in, right? If you want to look at the stocks, we identified as few stocks. This one was a buy. You would take it out for break even. The buy actually should have been here, right? Because you did make a new low. And if you bought this, close the trade, actually it's making a top. Can it drop from there? I think there's a possibility for that, right? We can expect this to go up a little more or drop. So put this like this. This could literally go up and make a new high. I'm not buying into this one as yet. It has to, make a correction like this before we buy. Can this drop? Yep. If it drop, make a flag, we'll sell it. We don't have a flag. Can you put an entry for a sell under this low? Absolutely. You can put an entry for sell there, and that would change this to a sell. There's a buy setup there. It's too small. We're not taking that, right? Let's go to this one. This one was a sell setup. You did get tagged and you did get profit, right? So it dropped like this, and then it come back and it did this. If you close it here, you took break even. There were about 5 hours it stayed there. So let's call this a break even trade, right? Because the first move was up. This was the first move. It consolidated here. It go back. It consolidate. This is a consolidation. You better take break even. Expect it to go up some more. So it never went to your stop loss. You got out for break even because you can see that the trade is not going the way you expect it to go. I'll take this off now so you can see. And now we're looking at this sell. It's still a sell. Can this go up a little more? I think it will go up a little more. See, this little one here went up a little more. We actually bought this and closed it here. This one could go up a little more. Break this top. Right? If it comes deeper and it drops through this bottom, we'll take the trade. But if it comes deeper here and go back there, we'll get a flat here. We'll figure out whether it would come back here and go. Right? So it might be more complex than that. But right now, you can put that sell there. So it's still a sell. And this one here is the same thing. This one, I don't know if you managed to get any profit out of it, but it would have been very profitable if you did. If you closed it here, you got some profit. If you closed it in here, you got some profit. If you close it here, you got break even. It's one of those three, right? You either get profit or break even. There's nowhere you're taking a loss on this. And we didn't break that top. So the question is it going to go break the top? Because you're kind of consolidating in this range. See that? So take this off. We don't have a sell set up here as yet. I wouldn't put a sell here because I don't see it going to break the top as yet. We actually want this to go back up. You want this to go back up there, break this top, and then do this and try to sell it from the top coming down. See? That would make sense. So we just take off the sell on this one and we wait. Maybe in New York session we get it. And this one we had a buy, it never triggered. The buy, the entry was here this morning. We moved the entry down to this level. And if this drop below this low again, if it drops below this low, we'll move the entry to this level, right? Because it looks like it's going to drop here. And then you have this flag for upside. If it's going to drop through the pattern, it has to drop through the pattern, make a flag here, and then we sell. But I don't think they're going to drop through. It looks more upside. It looks corrected for upside. So you put your entry for a buy there. It's still a buy, right? So that's it. You've got all the trade setups. That's a very long one. I would stop that recording, or we can continue with the recording and go through the trades that we didn't look at. So I'm going to go through them very fast because we don't have a lot of time, right? So the gold came down here. Could it be a running flat for upside? I believe so. So we're putting an entry order for a buy. We're putting gold as a buy, right? If this flat is what we think it is, if it is a running flat, then it should do this, right? If this comes here and make a bigger consolidation, we will consider the sell, but that would be later today, maybe New York session. This one here, we don't have anything. Forget about it. It's still consolidating. We're not going to buy it, sell it, leave it. Pound. Okay, so if Pung is making a running flat, if this is a running flat, then we can put an entry order for a buy, right? So we actually had an entry order here this morning that might have tagged you. If you got tagged on that entry order, keep a stop for that entry order right here. There we go, keep this stop. This is the running flat. Keep this stop under this low. If this comes back here and don't go, we'll take it off. You're tagged in it. Okay, keep it with Joji. So it's still a correction. You're tagged in it, it's still a correction. Keep it. It's still not doing anything. It's still probably a correction here, right? this could still be a running flat, right? Not the smaller one, but a bigger version of it. So it could still come back here and go. What we're looking for is when this start to correct. If this comes below this and start to correct, then we'll close the trade, right? You don't put a stop here, put a stop lower, but you wouldn't allow it to go to that stop, right? So if you're tagged on this, still keep it. I still like it. Leave it, let it tag you. We'll deal with this. So this one we're putting a buy. We didn't put it on this morning because of it. Yeah, keep it on the lower. Let's go. Euro New Zealand, we already closed this trade. We don't have anything in it. Euro CAD, we already closed this trade. We don't have anything in it. Euro Oz, we are waiting for a sell setup. We don't have it. Euro Yen, we closed that trade. We don't have anything in that. Euro Pound, we closed this trade. We were in the trade. We don't have anything. Euro Pound Swiss, I think we closed this trade also. Yeah, we closed that for break even. We don't have positive, depends on how you close it. We don't have anything in it now. We'll just leave it, wait for it to break the low and then upside, right? We look for an upside. Pound Oz, I think we closed this one also. No, we didn't. We don't have anything in this. Leave that alone. Punkad. Okay, it goes. It went back up. It could probably go a little more. I think we didn't. There wasn't a buy setup. You probably could get this to go a little more here, but I'm not sure if we want that buy because it's not going to go very far, right? There's a lot of divergence, and this would probably just break the top and then come back. So you might not get a chance to get out. So, well, with Pong actually going up, you could take the risk in it if you want, right? Let it come back to this level first, and then we'll take this as a flat and we'll put the end shorter above the top for the next impulse. If Pong is going to make a next impulse up, this will probably go. We'll look back at all the Pong trades actually. We know Pong Yen can go up, right? We're looking for the sell, but we know that it literally can go up all the way back if this is a contracting flat. So only if Yen drops first, then we get this trade. Otherwise, they could go up, right? So let's go. Pound New Zealand, we don't have anything in that. Yeah, we're waiting for a buy setup here. We don't have it. This could be a perfect buy setup. Remember, I showed you this pattern, and it actually did play out well. I told you there's a chance that this could drop really sharp here if you want to sell that, but that's a high risk trade. It could do this and go back up, or it could drop to this level and go back up. It's not a big trade. It's a very small trade, right? Pong Oz buy if we get a flag. We'll look at that just now. And if this makes a flag, this is coming back up, right? See this flag here? So you want it to go back up. You want it to make a flag here, and we're taking this trade to this top. 50 of you should have that trade if it makes it, right? You know how to trade it, right? So we're going to go back for that. This could be a wait for the flag, though. Don't jump in without the flag. Pong Oz, let's see Pong Oz if we get a flag, if we buy. At this point, no, we'll ignore this one. We'll totally ignore this one because this one is still doing this. See that? We're still in this thing. So we haven't got these as yet. I don't think we got them, so we'll wait. So Pound New Zealand could be a buy if we get a flag. That's the Aussie Swiss. I think we close that trade. There isn't anything much here. Close the trade. We look for a buy setup. I think we got a buy setup here. Wait a second. I think we were looking for a buy setup this morning with a flat somewhere in here. Yep, we wanted this to come back down. Those who were in this morning, I said, if this comes back down like this, we're going to put an end shorter for a buy for that trade up. So let's do that. Put an end shorter here for a buy. The next move should be to the upside and put this as a buy. Right, so let's go. 1 hour. This is the trade you're looking for. It's a no-brainer, right? If that goes, if it drops here, you don't want that trade. But if it goes up, we're looking for that trade. We're looking for this trade if it goes up. It's a very small flag, not a big one like this, a very small flag. If it just do this and start to consolidate, we'll get out of the trade. We'll wait for the big one and then go. But look at this. It came down, it went up. It came down, can it go back up? I think it can go back up, right? Literally what they do. So let's see. I like it. Aussie New Zealand is a waste of time, but it actually dropped nice during the news. If it makes a flag, you can sell. We relooked at this structure this morning for those who weren't in the session. And I looked at it again. This doesn't look like the impulse we were expecting up. We were expecting an impulse that is pretty sharp. So we relooked at this flat and said, can they actually come back here and give us a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave before you get a really sharp wave, go back up there and then break the low, right? So let's look at it in a weekly, right? This is what I'm looking for. Can it actually come back here, break this low again, and then go back up really sharp? I mean, like really sharp like this did. See how sharp that impulse is up there? Because this looks like a flat, right? This here looks like a flat. You could actually even take this one into that. This here looks like a flat. This looks like a flat. This has a 1, 2, 3. This has a 1, 2, 3. Can we make a 1, 2, 3 come back here and then actually make the sharp wave there and then drop? Possible, right? So in that case, hey, if you get a flag and it's coming down, sell it, right? So if it makes a flag here and it's actually making a flag on the 1 hour, you have about 6 hours. We'll put a sell for that. If it goes up, no problem, leave it alone. If it goes up, it probably go make a new high. But if it's going to drop, you want to trade, right? And New Zealand Swiss, we don't have anything, so leave that alone. It's making a flat, but it's at the top, so we'll just leave that where it is. New Zealand CAD. This one, you would have to take off this trade. We will not get this trade. Although it's a good trade, we will not get it because before the news, you'll take it off. I will not keep an entry there before the news if I'm not in the room, right? Oh, it's a very good trade. It go. I'm not going to claim that we made profit there. The only way I'll make profit in that is if I was in the room before this happened. And then we will take it as a buy. But that will be a different strategy, not the one I'm showing you. In this case, we'll not take that trade as a good trade because my traders by rule has to take off it. They had, this is a good one. You got this, you close. You would also have to close this one at the top there. Take a profit. So one profitable trade, and then we go. What is the bigger picture of this now? Wait for a pullback, we'll go with it. Wait for a pullback, a flag or something here, and we're still going up. We're still in the upside, right? Look at the pattern. This is just like the New Zealand dollar. See those patterns there? So this could go back all the way back to the top here. We'll just wait for the trade setups. And I think that's about the CAD, which we looked at already. CAD, this one we looked at already, nothing much on them. This doesn't have anything. Go back to the 1 hour. This doesn't have anything in it. It still looks upside, but we are not taking it. There's a short sell set up here if you want, very short one. Again, I would not take this. It could do this, but I'm not going to take the trade, right? And CAD Swiss, nothing. It's making a flag for upside now, but that would be a correction. I don't know if we want to trade this correction up. Let's go back to the 1 hour and see. What if this correction becomes a big correction? Right? Can we actually take this up? See on the 15 what it looks like. No, it doesn't look good in the 15. Right? This looks more corrective than this one. And it doesn't look like a flag in the middle, so I'll leave it alone. We'll wait until we get a better setup. It looks like a running flat here, but under 15, it's not quite clear it's a running flat for this move up. Right? So we were expecting the same thing here to go up, and then instead it dropped. Do this pull back, you can go with that running flat and then it drop. Would this be a running flat for upside? Will this consolidate and drop? We can't sell it. We'll leave it alone. So, okay, guys, thank you for being here. I know it's pretty long, it's tiring, but normally we'll do it shorter, but you guys are in here. I'm trying to give you as much as I can, explanation and details. Hope you enjoyed it. If you enjoyed it, please go leave your comment. I should see 48 of 60 comments on the recordings. Like it, share it, and let's get more people in this afternoon, right? Let's see, viewers will choose what they want to be. Yeah, ever since I've been following you, your free video tunes have been great. I'm glad you're profitable, my friend. So go make that comment in the trading and the YouTube viewers. You will help somebody. Somebody will read that and say, you know what, I think this is genuine, right? So go ahead. Don't forget, I should see 48 comments on each one of them. Click the likes. You know who make the first like, who always click the first like and make the first comment? Yes, it's always the troll. The troll is always there first with his comment and his likes. I think one person already asked that question. I posted that like a couple seconds after there was a dislike. And somebody made a comment and said, hey, you didn't even get to watch the video. It was out for like 5 seconds. How did you dislike it so fast? Right? And that was really funny. I just watched it and I smiled because I'm not really worried. Bitcoin. Oh, that is a long session now if we're going to put Bitcoin. Let me stop the recording. Yeah.